What if I told you there's a battle happening right now? A battle you've been losing every single day without even realizing it. It's not with the world, your enemies, or even your circumstances. It's with yourself, the version of you that gives in to fear, that surrenders to anger, that lets comfort and chaos rule your life. But here's the truth. You don't have to keep losing. In just 1 week, I discovered 5 life-changing habits rooted in ancient Stoic wisdom that completely transformed who I was, how I think, how I feel, how I live. These aren't just ideas. They are weapons, tools to help you conquer the war within, to master yourself, and to reclaim the power you've been giving away. Stay with me, because these lessons aren't just going to change your week, they'll change your life. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. If you're ready to break free, hit that subscribe button right now. This is your moment. Let's step into it together. The power of silence. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the noise of the world has drowned out the sound of your own thoughts. From the moment we open our eyes, we're bombarded by notifications, conversations, advertisements, and endless distractions. But what if I told you that true power isn't found in speaking louder or doing more? It's found in silence. Silence is the crucible where clarity, strength, and purpose are forged. Yet, in a world that glorifies constant motion, silence has become a forgotten art. This is where my journey began, with the decision to stop talking and start listening, not to the world, but to myself. For 7 days, I practiced intentional silence, not just the absence of words, but the refusal to react impulsively. It was excruciating at first. The urge to fill the void with explanations, justifications, and mindless chatter felt unbearable. I realized that we speak so often not because we have something meaningful to say, but because we fear the weight of stillness. But as I resisted this impulse, something extraordinary happened. I began to hear the world in a way I never had before. In conversations, I noticed the subtle pauses and unspoken fears in others' words. Silence became a mirror, reflecting the truths people tried to hide. Yet the real transformation wasn't external, it was internal. In the quiet, I confronted my own inner voice. At first, it was chaos, a relentless storm of doubts, fears, and insecurities. It was terrifying to face the unfiltered reality of my mind. But as the days went on, something shifted. The chaos began to settle, and beneath it, I found clarity. I discovered that silence wasn't just about listening, it was about reclaiming control. It allowed me to separate what mattered from what didn't, to focus on the essence of who I wanted to become. This wasn't just a habit, it was a revolution. By the end of the week, silence had taught me one of the most profound lessons of Stoicism. True strength is found in restraint. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In silence, I found that strength. I realized how often I had allowed my impulsive words and reactions to betray me, but no more. Silence became my ally, my sanctuary, my weapon against the chaos of the world. And now, I challenge you. What would happen if you practiced intentional silence for just 1 week? Imagine the clarity you could find, the strength you could build, the wisdom you could unlock. This isn't just about speaking less. It's about hearing more, understanding more, being more. If you're ready to take that step, join me on this journey. And while you're here, subscribe to the channel for more insights like this. Together, we're not just learning, we're transforming. The forge of resilience. What if I told you that the comfort you cling to is the very thing holding you back? Think about it. Every growth, every breakthrough, every act of greatness in human history was born not in ease, but in struggle. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This realization led me to adopt a habit that would challenge every fiber of my being, seeking discomfort intentionally. What I discovered wasn't just the ability to endure, it was the ability to thrive. For 1 week, I deliberately sought out discomfort in ways both small and profound. I started with the simplest act, a cold shower. The first time it felt like punishment. My body screamed, my mind rebelled, and I questioned why I was doing this, but I stayed. In that moment of icy defiance, I realized something extraordinary. It wasn't the cold water that was unbearable, it was my reaction to it. I wasn't battling the water, I was battling myself. The cold shower became a metaphor for life's hardships. We can't control the storm, but we can control how we face it. And every time I stepped out of that shower, I felt invincible. It wasn't just my body that became stronger, it was my will. But it didn't stop there. I extended this practice to my daily routine, fasting for longer than I thought possible, walking miles instead of driving, and even spending hours without the crutch of my phone or social media. Each act of discomfort stripped away a layer of dependency and revealed a deeper truth. Resilience isn't built in moments of ease, it's forged in the fire of adversity. By the end of the week, I found myself craving the very discomfort I once avoided. It wasn't because I enjoyed suffering, it was because I saw the strength it gave me. I became unshakable, not because life got easier, but because I became harder to break. Confronting yourself in the dark. As the week progressed, I discovered that silence and discomfort weren't enough. They opened the door, yes, but they didn't provide the map. To truly transform, I needed to turn inward and confront the raw, unfiltered reality of who I was. The third habit was reflection, a nightly ritual of self-examination that the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, cherished. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love, he wrote. But for me, it wasn't the morning reflections that changed me, it was the ones in the dead of night. Each night before sleep claimed me, I sat alone in the dark. I asked myself 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fail? How will I improve tomorrow? The simplicity of this practice is deceptive. The first night, I was overwhelmed by the flood of emotions that came from admitting my failures. I had always avoided this kind of confrontation, preferring distractions over accountability. But the act of writing these reflections down, committing them to paper, gave them weight. There was no escaping them anymore. By the third night, patterns began to emerge. I saw how my impulsivity led to regrets, how my need for approval silenced my authenticity, and how my fears dictated my actions. But instead of despair, I felt empowered. The failures weren't roadblocks, they were signposts, guiding me toward a better version of myself. Reflection turned my failures into lessons, my weaknesses into opportunities for growth. By the end of the week, the habit of nightly reflection had become sacred. It was no longer about what others thought of me, but about who I wanted to become. This habit, simple yet profound, is not just for a week, it is for a lifetime. Tonight, I challenge you. Take 10 minutes before bed, sit in silence, and ask yourself these 3 questions. The answers may surprise you, but they will set you free. The discipline of control. We live in a world where emotions rule. A single word can spark rage, a minor setback can trigger despair, and fleeting pleasures can become addictions. But what if you could break free from this tyranny? The fourth habit I adopted was emotional discipline, a cornerstone of Stoicism. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This habit required constant vigilance. Throughout the week, I monitored my emotional reactions like a guard watching over a fortress. Anger, frustration, sadness, each emotion was acknowledged but not indulged. Instead of reacting impulsively, I paused, breathed, and asked myself, is this within my control? If the answer was no, I let it go. If the answer was yes, I acted deliberately, not emotionally. The first few days were exhausting. My mind was so accustomed to being hijacked by emotions that resisting them felt like wrestling a wild animal. But as the week went on, I noticed something extraordinary. The emotions lost their grip. Situations that would have sent me spiraling now felt manageable. I wasn't suppressing my feelings. I was mastering them. By the end of the week, I experienced a profound sense of freedom. No longer was I a slave to anger or fear. Instead, I became the architect of my responses. This habit doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being controlled by what you feel. Imagine the power of living with such mastery. Imagine the peace it could bring. Now ask yourself, are your emotions controlling you, or are you controlling them? Aligning actions with values. The final habit was the most transformative of all. Up until this point, I had silenced the noise, embraced discomfort, reflected on my actions, and mastered my emotions. But without a guiding purpose, all of this would have been meaningless. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The fifth habit was living with purpose, aligning every action with my deepest values. On the first day of this practice, I wrote down what mattered most to me: integrity, courage, and wisdom. These weren't just abstract ideals. They were the principles that would guide every decision I made. Throughout the week, I evaluated my actions against these values. Was I living with integrity? Was I showing courage in the face of fear? Was I seeking wisdom in every moment? This habit forced me to confront hard truths. I realized how often I had betrayed my own values for the sake of convenience or approval. But instead of feeling ashamed, I felt inspired. Each misstep became an opportunity to realign, to choose better, to live better. By the end of the week, I felt a clarity and sense of direction I had never known before. Living with purpose is not about perfection. It's about intention. It's about waking up each day with the resolve to live in accordance with your highest self. Ask yourself, what are your values? And are you living by them, or are you betraying them? 7 days, 5 habits, a lifetime of transformation. These lessons weren't just experiments, they were revelations. They reminded me that we don't have to be victims of our circumstances. We can choose to rise above, to master ourselves, and to live with purpose. The Stoics knew this truth, and now so do we. But this is just the beginning. There is more to uncover, more to learn, and more ways to grow. In our next video, we'll explore the darker, hidden side of Stoicism, the lessons that few dare to speak of, but hold the power to completely reshape your reality. If you found this journey valuable, make sure to subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us which habit resonated with you the most. And remember, this isn't just my story, it's our story. Let's continue this journey together. The storm will come, but when it does, we will stand firm.